Sonny, welcome. Come on in. Get married to my daughter. Blazing Saddles was more than a film. A full-fledged cultural eruption occurred. In the most spectacular way imaginable, this wild Western comedy, which was released in 1974, broke down barriers, redefined the conventions of satire, and angered almost everyone. However, even ardent admirers are unaware of the mysteries hidden underneath all the chuckles, hilarious scenes, and memorable lines. These 25 odd facts will fundamentally alter your perspective of this Mel Brooks masterpiece, from the unbelievable original ending that never made it to theaters to the strange casting decisions and on-set mayhem. The truth is more bizarre and humorous than fiction, so fasten your seatbelt. Number 25. An unanticipated hero in a casting dilemma. The beloved Waco Kid character from Blazing Saddles nearly didn't make it to the big screen. Oscar winner Gig Young was originally cast in the part, but catastrophe occurred on the first day. Due to severe alcohol withdrawal, he passed out on the set. Director Mel Brooks had to move quickly since the production was in a frenzy. He made the audacious decision to call Gene Wilder, who volunteered to fill in without ever looking at the script. Wilder's performance went down in history. The film's explosive intensity was counterbalanced by his dry humor and calm, offbeat appeal. In addition to being humorous, his portrayal of the Waco Kid was surprisingly perceptive and incredibly realistic. Despite all odds, one of comedy's most recognizable pairs emerged from a casting emergency, and Wilder's cool-headedness and wits served to stabilize the film's chaos. It's one of those infrequent Hollywood scenes where everything almost goes wrong but works out just fine. Settling into position. Muto. The fact that it began with panic and concluded with wild success is another strange reality. Let's examine the specifics. 24. From nervous studios to box office success. The top executives at Warner Brothers were taken aback, and not in a good way, when they first saw Blazing Saddles. The film's audacity, outrageousness, and political incorrectness astounded them. They even considered canceling it completely. The bold filmmaker Mel Brooks, however, wasn't prepared to let up. He advocated for an in-person test screening. Everything altered with what followed. The room reverberated with applause as the audience erupted in laughter, particularly at the now famous campfire scene. The studio was forced to reconsider its choice due to the tremendous outcry. They reluctantly made the movie available. What came next was pure magic in a movie. It broke all expectations, becoming a comedic classic, and was a major box office triumph. What started off as a risky investment became one of Warner Brothers' most surprising successes, demonstrating that sometimes taking big chances can pay off in ways that are legendary. Now let's explore another strange truth. The figure that is the secret force behind the laughter is the subject of this story. Pryor, Richard, number 23. One of the most audacious voices in American humor, Richard Pryor was the mastermind behind Blazing Saddles' outrageous humor. As one of the film's co-writers, Pryor brought incisive humor, unapologetically scathing critiques of racism, and an unvarnished honesty that challenged convention to the script. At first, director Mel Brooks wanted Pryor to play Bart, the black sheriff, but the studio thought Pryor was too dangerous. They were uneasy about his edgy reputation. As a result, Cleavon Little was cast, and he brought passion and charm to the part while maintaining Pryor's essence. Pryor's fingerprints were all over the screen, despite the fact that he wasn't there. His bold, unrepentant approach set the tone for the film, making it both funny and impactful. His voice could be heard in every audacious joke and uncomfortable reality the movie revealed. But without the touch of Pryor, Blazing Saddles wouldn't have dared to use such relentless humor to confront bigotry. His impact was imperceptible yet unavoidable, akin to a quiet storm. Let's examine the specifics of an odd scene that permanently altered comedy. The scene with the campfire is number 22. A straightforward campfire served as the setting for one of the most surprising yet unforgettable scenes in film history. Mel Brooks bravely violated taboos in Blazing Saddles when a bunch of cowboys eating beans let forth a chorus of loud, unrepentant farts. It was innovative, not just crass humor. Farting sounds were employed for the first time in a major motion picture to be obviously and purposefully used for humorous effect. To ensure that the gassy eruptions could not be overlooked, even above screaming laughter, Brooks even jacked up the level on the sound effects, determined to make spectators squirm and chuckle. The outcome was hilarious. The sequence was more than simply a jest. It was a critique of the overly idealized portrayal of the Old West that is sometimes included in movies, putting in its place a chaotic human reality. It broke long-standing taboos and allowed upcoming filmmakers to experiment with humor in fresh, unvarnished ways. Whether you like it or not, that moment with the campfire did more than just make people chuckle. It permanently altered the conventions of comic film. Let's discuss a surprising development that baffled the executives. 21. A mind-bending conclusion. The movie ends on a bold and surprising note. Unexpectedly, the characters leave their own plot and arrive on the set of a contemporary movie. They break the fourth wall in a way that contradicts what spectators believe they understood, as if they've been a part of the film all along. Studio execs were not prepared for this audacious, self-aware ending. Indeed, it left a lot of them perplexed and uncertain about the reactions of audiences. The audience, however, was ecstatic while the suits were perplexed. The twist gave the story a new depth and transformed it into a witty critique of storytelling in general. Critics and fans commended the film for its inventiveness and daring, stating that the meta-ending made them reevaluate the whole picture from a different angle. It wasn't merely a conclusion. It was both a statement, a mind trick, and a surprise. This closing act left a lasting impression and sparked discussions long after the credits had rolled, demonstrating that the filmmakers weren't afraid to experiment with reality. Have you ever pondered the meaning of the title? Let's explore the meaning beyond your current understanding. The 20th is Blazing Saddles. Blazing Saddles may initially appear to be a lighthearted, crazy title for a cowboy parody, conjuring images of horses, fast-paced action, and flaming gunfights. However, upon closer inspection, the name has a smart double meaning that accurately captures the daring tone of the film. Like the film's unapologetically humorous and fast-paced style, blazing signifies bright, fast, and fierce. It tackles difficult subjects like racism and corruption head-on with witty, irreverent humor. Saddles has a connection to dusty trails, open frontiers, the cowboy lifestyle, and traditional Western images. However, the movie mocks old cliches with crazy, unexpected twists, turning the genre on its head rather than taking these seriously. Thus, the title is a scathing mockery as well as a heartfelt tribute. Like the film itself, bursting with bold humor and original concepts, let's examine the honor and legacy bestowed upon the film, a prize for commitment and diligence. Number 19. Cultural impact and enduring legacy. Over time, Blazing Saddles has cemented its status as one of the best comedies ever produced. Its witty comedy and audacious satire still make audiences laugh and think decades after it was first released. The American Film Institute recognized Blazing Saddles' enduring capacity for entertainment in 2000 by placing it 6th on their esteemed list of the 100 funniest American films. However, its impact extends much beyond amusement. The picture was selected for preservation in the National Picture Registry by the Library of Congress in 2006, acknowledging its profound cultural and historical significance. This unique distinction indicates that the film is praised for its creative excellence as well as for its humorous treatment of significant social concerns and social standards. Blazing Saddles is today regarded as a seminal work of comedy that continues to influence audiences, directors, and comedians alike, demonstrating that great comedy can be both enjoyable and timeless. Let's examine the specifics of a cunning antagonist based on actual Hollywood drama. Hedley Lamar, number 18. Hedley Lamar, the conceited and cunning antagonist from Blazing Saddles, was more than simply a fictional character. In reality, he was modeled after a real-life Hollywood executive who was known for taking credit where credit wasn't due. His clever satire made fun of the power-hungry people that work behind the scenes in the movie business, which made Lamar's haughty demeanor both humorous and relatable to people who are aware. When Hedy Lamarr sued the producers for using a name that was too similar to her own, the humor around the character Hedley Lamarr caused controversy in real life. Mel Brooks's recurrent quip, "It's Hedley, not Hetty," converted the drama into comedy even after the matter was settled. In addition to reducing the tension, this clever addition turned into a humorous running joke. The persona skillfully blends humor, Hollywood politics, and satire, transforming a legal snag into one of the movie's most memorable scenes, Endo Casot. Let's examine yet another peculiar aspect of the film that results from an unintentional straight man, a character to watch. Slim Pickens is number 17. Experienced actor Slim Pickens, best renowned for his parts in vintage westerns, gave one of his most memorable performances without ever joking. He was completely committed to the job, acting as though he were in a somber cowboy movie instead of a crazy comedy. That's precisely what made him hilarious. Pickens had no intention of being funny. He was actually unaware that he was in a comedy. Nevertheless, the film's wild scenes were made immensely funnier by his deadpan delivery and sincere emotions. Pickens became the perfect straight man by remaining loyal to himself and not playing for laughs. He was the somber person around whom all the madness could revolve. His sincere performance served as a mirror, reflecting the ridiculousness of everything else. The hilarity jumped out the screen because of the stark contrast between his honesty and the surrounding insanity. Instead of taking center stage, Pickens provided viewers with a tangible object to cling to as the mayhem played out. Paradoxically, Slim Pickens enhanced the humor by not being aware of it. Here's another strange fact about Blazing Saddles, a masterful satire that conveys a serious message. 16. A masterpiece of satire with a sobering message. One notable example of a daring and clever satire that employs comedy to address weighty subjects like racism and prejudice is Blazing Saddles. By placing a black sheriff in command of a town full of overtly racist individuals, the movie adopts a bold strategy. The Blazing Saddles exposes the ridiculousness of racism via audacious humor and satire. It addresses delicate subjects head-on with incisive humor and thought-provoking language rather than sidestepping them, to draw attention to the harm caused by bigotry, not to offend. The ludicrous comedy in the movie raises important issues of injustice and forces viewers to face hard realities. It has received enduring acclaim as a breakthrough work that entertains and teaches due to its bold attitude. The film continues to have an impact by fusing humor with a strong message of justice and tolerance, reminding viewers of the significance of opposing bigotry in all eras. The crazy, nonsensical musical twist in this film is only another strange fact. Let's examine the specifics. 15. A crazy, nonsensical musical twist. The film abruptly changes course just when you believe it has reached its most outrageous point. The screen is taken over by a thunderous orchestral eruption. Unexpectedly, the iconic Dame de l'Oise shows there, decked up in extravagant clothing, and launches into a performance so extravagant it seems like a fever dream. In a moment that is both chaotic and amusing, he speaks straight to the audience while belting out songs and dancing with style, completely shattering the illusion of the plot. This is the type of moment where spectators blink in shock and wonder, wait, did that just happen? And that's precisely what the renowned filmmaker Mel Brooks desired. Brooks refused to back down in the face of the studio's opposition, resolved to finish the movie on his own crazy terms. The outcome? A ridiculous and surprising ending that leaves a lasting impression. Brooks taught us that comedy doesn't have to adhere to rules by ending the film with absurdity turned up to 11. Actually, it's preferable when it doesn't. In addition to boosting the film's frantic energy, his daring, rule-breaking approach solidified it as a comedy classic that joyfully welcomes the unexpected and challenges you to stay up. Blazing Saddles fans will always remember Gene Wilder's ingenious move. Let's examine the specifics. Playing it straight is number 14. In bringing the Waco Kid to life in Blazing Saddles, Gene Wilder made a brilliant decision. Wilder took the opposite approach, failing to match the raucous, exaggerated spirit of the film's chaotic environment. With serene, weary eyes and a gentle, almost spectral demeanor, he portrayed his role. This was strategy, not merely acting. By maintaining a subtle performance, Wilder produced a striking contrast to the chaos surrounding him. The Waco Kid's subdued, eerie tone gave him the feel of a man who had witnessed too much, giving what would have been merely a humorous sidekick new depth. The persona was memorable, and the outrageous moments were made funnier by his silence, pauses, and subtle sarcasm. Wilder didn't stand out in a satirical and slapstick-filled movie. Audiences listened as he murmured. His performance stood out and became one of the most renowned in comedy film history because of this unorthodox technique. It's a great illustration of how sometimes taking it easy and letting the universe unfold around you is the most daring course of action. When done correctly, understatement may steal the show, as demonstrated by Wilder's Waco Kid. An explosion that nearly resulted in catastrophe was another strange aspect of the film that many people considered strange. Let's examine the specifics. Number 13, a near-explosive incident. The production crew had a harrowing moment that could have resulted in disaster while filming a high-stakes scene at a toll booth that featured a spectacular explosion. The explosion, which was supposed to occur after the players had left the location, was inadvertently set off too soon, putting the cast and crew members in danger of being hurt. As crew members' heart rates spiked and they realized how close they had come to danger, a near miss on set prompted fear. Despite the fact that no one was harmed, the incident revealed the dangers of practical effects and the mayhem that goes along with dramatic action sequences. It came to represent the film's untamed, erratic spirit, where the distinction between fiction and actual danger was hazy. Safety procedures were quickly reviewed and tightened as a result of the incident, but the memory persisted. A striking reminder that even movie magic has real-life consequences, and that the most explosive scenes aren't usually included in the screenplay. What about the film's successful release? Let's examine this strange truth in more detail. Number 12. The victorious release of Blazing Saddles. Warner Brothers had severe reservations about Blazing Saddles before it became the current blockbuster. The film's audacious and contentious humor alarmed the studio executives, who weren't sure if viewers would find it funny. Some executives thought about putting the film on hold after the initial test screenings revealed mixed and unimpressive reviews. It appeared as though the movie might never make it to the big screen. Then, however, an unexpected event occurred. As a kind of covert test, Warner Brothers chose to release Blazing Saddles in a few chosen cities. To everyone's delight, the film attracted a receptive and passionate audience who cherished its incisive humor and unafraid comedy. The studio was persuaded to expand its release because to the positive local reception, the risk paid out handsomely. Despite having a small budget, Blazing Saddles became one of Warner Brothers' most profitable movies ever, grossing close to $120 million. What began as a daring, uncertain undertaking became a legendary comedic classic that pioneered new techniques and made a lasting impression on the history of cinema. One more strange fact is that which envelops the film's director, a multifaceted comedic icon. Let's examine the specifics. Mel Brooks, number 11. Comedy great Mel Brooks is renowned for his versatility, both literally and figuratively. Not only did he create and direct some of his most famous movies, but he also appeared on screen as a variety of characters. Mel Brooks demonstrated his bold, scathing comedy in Blazing Saddles by portraying a Native American chief who spoke Yiddish and an inexperienced governor. Without veering into cruelty, he openly made fun of politics, authority, and even his own upbringing. Brooks' ability to transition between roles demonstrated his comic genius and gave his movies a sense of unpredictability and extreme creativity. He stood out for striking a balance between wit and irreverence, demonstrating that comedy could be both witty, bold, and critical. Brooks transformed his movies into lighthearted, provocative carnivals of humor and social commentary with his fearless characters and scathing sarcasm. Failure was noted when it was turned into a series, even though it was a very popular film. Let's examine the specifics. The 10th was an unsuccessful sitcom adaptation. Not all ideas that are brilliant on the big screen are able to illuminate the tiny screen in the world of television. This was the situation with the attempt to make Black Bart into a television series. The TV version of Black Bart failed to capture the wit and charm of the original movie. The program had trouble connecting with viewers because it lacked originality, wit, and drive. The pilot was a one-time broadcast that immediately slipped into obscurity after failing to satisfy critics. The series failed to recreate the charm of the film due to its poor writing and lack of a devoted fan base. Success doesn't often come again, as evidenced by the fact that it ultimately turned into a forgotten attempt to recreate a classic. In addition to the series' failure, Blazing Saddles nearly ran into trouble at the studio. Let us examine the how and why. The title of number 9 nearly didn't make it. The movie studio first objected to the title Blazing Saddles. They felt that the name was a bit too wild or possibly unsuitable for their tastes. The language seemed dangerous, perhaps too audacious or startling for a movie they hoped to market extensively. The studio sought to modify the title to something less risky and safer as a result. They were concerned that the odd moniker would cause misunderstandings or turn off viewers. However, the film's director and creator, Mel Brooks, refused to back down. Blazing Saddles, he was convinced, was the ideal title. For him, the title encapsulated the essence of the film: its sardonic humor, its audacity, and its lack of self-importance. Like the spirit of the movie, the title was witty, humorous, and a touch cheeky. Brooks thought that altering it would detract from the film's distinct character and edge. Ultimately, the studio agreed to retain the original title because to Brooks' persistence. That choice made the movie stand out and turn into the timeless comedic masterpiece that it is today. Let's discuss the significant contribution that one of the film's main characters made. 8th. The unintentional gift of Frankie Lane. One intriguing and surprising aspect of the movie's appeal is Frankie Lane's appearance in the title song. Unaware that Blazing Saddles was a comedy rather than a conventional Western, Lane, who is well known for his strong, passionate singing, tackled the song with true seriousness. Frankie Lane thought he was singing a serious Western ballad, but the film's ridiculous comedy was delightfully at odds with his earnest, tragic delivery. His portrayal of the straight man in a world full of parodies was made funnier by this contrast. The greatest laughs can come from people who aren't aware they're in on the joke, as demonstrated by Lane's inadvertent seriousness, which gave the humor a distinctive and unforgettable depth. His surprising contribution was a major factor in the movie's enduring appeal. Some people have questioned whether a movie like Blazing Saddles could be produced today given its success. Let's see what people think. The 7th is a movie that was not possible to make today. Mel Brooks's iconic comedy Blazing Saddles is frequently hailed for its scathing criticism and audacious, uncensored humor. But Brooks has admitted that it would be very difficult to make a movie like this now. Because of its audacious comedy and unvarnished perspective on racial, political, and social concerns, Blazing Saddles would probably encounter significant criticism today. Although revolutionary at the time, its daring, boundary-pushing aesthetic is incompatible with the more politically conscious, sensitive culture of today. Its bold treatment of taboo subjects, which once made it a cult favorite, would today make it more difficult to get finance, approval, or distribution. Stricter sensitivity standards in today's entertainment industry make making such a movie all but impossible. This fact demonstrates how society's perceptions of comedy and appropriate discourse have changed throughout time. Let's examine the amusing impact the movie had on the audience. 6th, it was uncontrollable laughter. Maintaining a serious demeanor while filming was extremely difficult for the cast and crew. It was nearly impossible for anyone to remain in character because of the frequent and unplanned outbursts of laughter. Concentrated performers and crew members couldn't help but laugh out loud since the jokes and humorous moments on site were so infectious. Because of this insatiable laughter, scenes frequently had to be repeatedly recorded while everyone attempted to gather themselves. The happy mood on set demonstrated how strong and contagious the humor in the movie was. Its charm was irresistible. The production was made even more magical by these behind-the-scenes giggles, which showed how much fun everyone was actually having. The audience was not the only one who thought the story was humorous. Every day on set, the folks who were making it a reality shared in that joy. This unceasing laughter gave the production a unique vitality that comes through on screen and made the entire filming process unforgettable. Let's uncover one more strange fact. The Duke's permission is number 5. The Duke, played by John Wayne, was asked to appear in the movie for a brief cameo. He graciously declined the offer, though, since he was concerned that even a minor part would undermine the powerful, valiant persona he had painstakingly developed over his career. Wayne, however, gave the film high marks for both story and production. He expressed his profound respect for the movie and pledged to be one of the first people to see it when it came out. This response from such a great person demonstrated how universally popular and important the movie was, reaching a variety of viewers and winning praise even from people who did not take part. His remark gave the film an unanticipated level of significance and piqued the interest of both critics and fans who wanted to know what had so attracted the legendary actors. This occasion, known as the Duke's Seal of Approval, became evidence of the movie's ability to engage audiences both on and off screen, implying the timeless elements that would make it unforgettable. The fact that the movie didn't win an Oscar was already strange. What took place? What impact might this have on the film? Let's investigate. Fourth, Oscar snubs and their long-term effects. Surprisingly, the movie only garnered 3 Academy Award nominations and failed to win any, despite being a huge hit and winning over viewers worldwide. Given how well-liked and culturally significant the film had become, many people felt that this was a huge injustice. However, years later, the film's creator, Mel Brooks, reflected on the alleged snub with pride and amusement rather than resentment. He made a joke about how they got laughter that endured throughout time, which was far more important than any gilded statues they brought home. Hearing people continue giggling at the movie, quoting its lines, and passing it on to future generations was Brooks' true satisfaction. He felt that type of happiness was more potent than any award. According to him, the ability to make people laugh for decades is a true proof of talent, even though awards can fade. Ultimately, the movie demonstrated its value without an Oscar. In the eyes of its supporters, it had already gained immortality. Let's discuss a startling scene that caused a stir around the globe. The third was the world-shocking horse punch. The moment Mungo, a huge, dim-witted man, unexpectedly enters the village and punches a horse in the face, knocking it unconscious, is one of the most outrageous and memorable scenes in Blazing Saddles. It's an incredible moment that simultaneously leaves spectators in a state of shock and laughter. The sequence boldly proclaimed that Blazing Saddles will not follow the rules, using a stunt horse, make fun of revered Western cliches, and address forbidden subjects, Mel Brooks explained. This was a bold, audacious comedy that was prepared to upend the conventions of satire and make viewers laugh at the unexpected. Did Blazing Saddles encounter any difficulties getting the government's approval? Let's examine his battle for artistic independence in more detail. Second place. Fighting against the censors. As soon as Mel Brooks started working on his daring and edgy film, censors opposed him because they didn't like its aggressive humor and contentious topics. A lot of people